So you find yourself in a strange position one day where you need a motor. You need a motor for your Japanese import vehicle because yours died. Like this one. Dramatic internal failures. We have valves burnt, we have pistons damaged. This is an Acura 3.7 J37 A1, I believe is the model designation on that, for a 2010 Acura MDX. And so it's a strange situation. You got a 12-year-old vehicle that's in really nice shape, and a dead motor. Basically, it's junk. Can't overhaul it. It really can't be repaired. I mean, I looked into it. So what are your options? Your options are to go to the wreckers and buy another motor from them, which are kind of hard to find, but they're out there. They want $3,500 US for used motors with questionable mileage on them. We really don't know. And little to no guarantees. So you spend all that money, another $500 in shipping, and you get something that looks like this, but you just don't know what you've got, right? So you start looking at options and you think, oh, maybe JDM. So Japanese domestic market vehicles, they pull their motors out at around 50,000 kilometers because they don't meet emissions. And they ship them over here by the sea crate load. And this is what you get. If you're ever wondering what you get, well, this is it. You end up with a lump that resembles the one you have. Doesn't look a whole lot different. There's a lot less corrosion on it for sure. I mean, there's evidence that it hasn't been in Canada. I'm in Canada. And things like this. I mean, you look at the harmonic balance here, and there's no rust on it. Mine's all rusted to rat shit. But what do you got to watch out for? Well, they're not treated very kindly. In shipping, obviously, I mean, look at the way they pull these things out with little to no concern for, collateral damage. So you get coil packs that are cracked and broken, and here's an actuator for the intake, a variable intake that's just clean, smashed right off. What a shame, eh? What a shame. Probably was a perfectly good part. Now it's toast. Absolutely toast. Various different sensors and bits on this thing are there was a dipstick here that they snapped the handle off of. You can see that they pulled it out as fast as possible. Everything's just cut, because they don't want to waste time. Time's money, and they don't waste any of it. So what you get looks kind of like this. I mean, look at this oil filter housing. The oil filter itself is beaten to shit. And then when the guys are putting it on the pallet here, they broke the sensor off, the oil filter housing. So, you got lots of things to be concerned about when you get one of these. You got to pay attention because these are actually oxygen sensors, but that's okay because I'll just plug mine in. And the big question is, the sensors that are on this motor, including the throttle body, coolant temperature, crank position sensor, cam position sensor, all these things, knock sensors, are they compatible with the computer that's in your Canadian or US vehicle? And nobody can give you a straight answer, right? So you kind of left to figure it out on your own. Even if the connectors are the same, that doesn't necessarily mean just because it plugs in, it's going to work. So the best thing to do is to take your new Joule and strip all this old wire harness off because you're not going to use it anyway, and then go through your sensors one by one, verifying the part numbers are correct. If the part numbers are correct, then you're fine. If they're not, then you've got to take the sensors off of your broken motor and put them on. Obviously, like this intake manifold, I've got a perfectly good, solenoid there for that intake that was smashed off on the other one. Throttle body on this one's perfectly fine. This sensor here is broken off on the JDM motor. So EGR and this kind of stuff. Plus there's probably some spare parts on this you might want to hold on to, just because. The coil packs look a little bit different. That's interesting. You wouldn't think they would be, but so yeah. So this is kind of part one. I got this series on the MDX for my YouTube channel. I probably could have done a few more leading up to this. The car actually, it died in March, and I've had it sitting outside for 3 months. I just haven't had time to work on it, and I just got around to it. Another interesting thing about these particular vehicles is the motor is inserted from below. Okay, the motor does not go in from above. So if you're like me, as a DIY guy working in your garage, that's a real problem, because you don't have a car hoist. You can't drop the motor and then lift the car off the motor like they would in the assembly line or at the dealership, or at a garage, a professional garage would do that. I was forced to actually remove the cross member that goes above the radiator. That gave me about an extra 6 inches, maybe a little more, because you can move everything around. And then the motor will actually pass. I mean, you need an extra 5 inches from the stock configuration. It's 17 inches, the opening, and the motor is 23, I think, from head to head. So anyway, this is quite a in-depth little project to breathe some new life into this amazing 7-passenger SUV, because it is really nice to drive. I mean, the interior is amazing. It's black leather on pearl white. This is an Elite version, meaning it had the electronic shocks. It has the in-vehicle entertainment system for the back. It has heated and air-conditioned seats and blah, 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 blah. Everything you can imagine. Lovely car, lovely. So it really deserves a heart transplant. So I'll try to shoot some more videos of the process of stripping that one down, identifying the differences between the old and the new. I know the motor mount has to be switched. The motor mount, I didn't bother putting it back on, but it goes right on there. They're different because this motor is actually out of an RL, which is a car, as opposed to an MDX. So it's got VTEC on the exhaust as well as the intake, whereas the MDX only has it on the intake. So it's 5 more horsepower. Big deal. Yeah, 305 instead of 300. I mean, that's not going to be noticeable. And who uses all the horsepower anyway? I just want a good running engine that doesn't burn oil, that being the key. Burning oil is a nuisance. It's just a headache. And honestly, it had a lot to do with the eventual failure of this one. Was extreme detonation, damage to piston, broke a chunk off the top of the piston land. It also burned an exhaust valve at the same time, which is bizarre, in a different cylinder. So it had a really, really bad day. But at 310,000 K on it, it certainly, it gave everything. And you know, myself and the previous owners, they certainly had plenty of good miles out of that motor. And now, you know, when I put this one in, the MDX will once again, it'll ride again, and I'm gonna actually sell it to somebody. But I didn't want to sell it, you know, with a broken motor, or even before when it was burning oil. I really didn't want to sell it like that and have somebody just inherit this nightmare. So hopefully by doing all this, is a lot of effort, it'll be a really good running vehicle again, and somebody will be able to haul their family around and have lots of adventures, because it really is an adventure vehicle. You hook a trailer on the back, go camping, and I mean, you can haul a pile of stuff in this. It's a fantastic car. And other than, you know, a couple little bumps and bruises, it really is in good shape. The body's in great shape for a 2010 in Canada. The 2010 in Florida, of course, you know, it's going to be phenomenal. But in Canada, a 2010, to find a really clean one, it's not so easy unless it's had a complete body job, which is never as good as new. So anyway, that's enough talk for today. You can see that, yeah, it's quite a mess. There's a lot of stuff to do in here, a lot of cleanup to do. Extraction of the other motor was dirty and nasty, and looking forward to having it all back together. So, excuse the hair, it's really windy here today. I need a haircut too. Stay tuned. Like the video, make a comment, ask a question. If I can answer it, I will certainly answer it. If I can't answer it, I'll tell you I can't answer it. What else can I say? Have a good one. Cheers.